All right, everybody, before we get started, just a little preview of this episode. We are going to be talking mounted fox hunting on this episode. Yes, again, a little different. It's not quite the same thing that, normally that we do. I do know that this is 2 weeks in a row that I've kind of ventured off and explored some different areas. But I've been sitting on this one for a while, and it's definitely due to be presented to y'all. So I will be while y'all are listening to this, I will actually be in Florida on vacation with my family. So I wanted to be able to bring this to y'all while I was going to be kind of catching up on some family time and taking care of that on my end, on the personal end. So this is going to be a 2-part series as well. I may hold the second part depending on what kind of episodes I can get recorded. I should be getting some recordings from some people from the Masters, from the big hunt at Pools Foxhound Training Preserve this past week. I'm hoping maybe some of these guys that just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, some of these crosses, get some people to be able to talk about those kind of all that happened. A lot going on this past week, so I'm working on getting those recordings, and I'm going to have to get them edited and brought to y'all. But they are coming, guys. I promise. I'm going to make some effort to get that to you soon. So while we're waiting, while I'm away, while I'm on vacation, I have this one for y'all. Again, it's really good stuff. It's a really interesting listen. We actually talked for about 2 hours. So y'all let me know what you think about this. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with these guys. I learned a lot. And before I waste too much time, let's get to the episode, guys. Drop the gate. Welcome, everybody, to the Hound's Tales podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hound's Tales podcast.
Joy Dog Food is one of the oldest dog food companies on the market, starting back in 1945. Since then, much has changed in the pet food industry. But one thing that'll never change is our dedication to our customers and providing the best quality dog food while remaining consistent at the same time. Joy Dog Food is family owned and operated by Wade Kraskiewicz and his son Skylar. The two have worked side by side for years, providing superior customer service, products, and resources to pet owners across the nation. Here at Joy Dog Food, we pride ourselves on providing personalized one-on-one customer service to each person that calls, emails, or messages us. For more information on our products, to find a dealer near you, or to become a dealer yourself, visit joydogfood.com or call 800-245-4125.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a need for dog supply items such as Garmin products, bark collars, remote trainers, name tags, field trial and hunt dog supplies, supplements and first aid, dog fences, used and refurbished collars, and much, much more. Where can you go to get that? Outdoor Dog Supply. Outdoor Dog Supply is a leader when it comes to Garmin Tritronics trade-in program. They were one of the first Garmin dealers to start accepting Garmin buyback trade-ins toward purchases. Outdoor Dog Supply currently accepts both working and some non-working units. Be sure to check in with these guys at Outdoor Dog Supply or at 757-482-1000. And their hours of operation are from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in the Chesapeake area in Virginia, be sure to stop in. Go see these guys in person. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online sales as far as Garmin products go and your hunting dog supply needs. This is where I go to get all my stuff. Might as well join me in it. All right, guys. Again, be sure to check these guys out, outdoordogsupply.com, and thank them for coming on board with the Hound's Tales podcast. Let's get back to the episode. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Hound's Tales podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Job Woodill Is that correct? I didn't check that last name.
It is.
Okay,
it is.
perfect. And Suji Helmer, they are both mounted fox hunters. It's a little bit different than what normally comes on the show, but it is a dog hunting. It's fox hunting. It's dogs, and it's really cool to see all the stuff. They have a great YouTube channel, and definitely does a really good job of bringing it to life of what all it is. But I wanted to get them on the show, and so thank y'all for coming, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to be here. We've been looking forward to it all week.
Yeah, man, me too. And y'all just had I seen the pictures and stuff that y'all posted. When did y'all go and do all that?
Sunday. We went out. We normally, we hunt. We can get into this a bit more, but in season we normally hunt Sundays and Wednesdays. Unfortunately, today was a weather washout, but that was this past Sunday.
Gotcha. Now, what area y'all from that y'all do all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we live in Middleburg, Loudoun County, Virginia, which is sort of kind of the epicenter of mounted fox hunting in Virginia. Probably makes it also the epicenter of snootiness as well. But we're not that type. But yeah, this mounted fox hunting has been in this area. George Washington was a mounted fox hunter and had his own pack of hounds, and Mount Vernon is not too far from here. So fox hunting has been in this area for really a long time.
Right. And I was able to meet y'all at the lobby day, and that's the first place we kind of got connected, and made that connection and got to really talk in there. And of course, we had other things on the agenda to do, so we really didn't get to talk a whole lot. But the little bit that I did, I was just I was fascinated by everything that y'all were talking about, the pictures y'all had shown me, and everything about it. So. Like I said, I think this is going to be great that, more people can see this and bring this to light, because it's not a very, like you said, it's been around since George Washington days, but it's not something you see a lot of people doing anymore. So to get started with this, the mounted fox hunting, what makes y'all gravitate towards that, and why do y'all do it?
Yeah, I think there's kind of two components to, well, maybe not two components to your question, but two components to the answer that you're going to have to listen to me give you. So, if you don't mind, I think I'll give the first component. I'll let Suji take the second part of it. I think there's two parts to it.
Right.
Why would you do it in the first place, and then why do we do it, or how did we get into it? Like you said, it's a very old sport here in the United States, but actually, is much older than that. There's a long tradition of mounted hunting with dogs or with hounds in England and in Europe, and it's still widely practiced in Europe and in Great Britain, albeit in somewhat different ways. But here in the U.S., we actually have quite a few mounted fox hunting clubs. There's probably about, I would say, not 200, but
wow,
a little less than 200. So they're still around, and they're I would say the majority of them are here in the eastern United States, but there are people that are doing mounted fox hunting in Kansas and California and Colorado and Canada and Florida. And as you can imagine, with that sort of difference of climate and types of what your quarry is, it can vary quite a bit. So specifically why the mounted fox hunting, it started out as a practicality. And actually most mounted fox hunting in Europe started out as stag hunting with hounds.
Okay.
And then they ran out of deer because they killed them all. and it turned into like a more practical sort of thing, where they said, well, we ran out of deer, so we're going to start hunting vermin, and that was fox.
Okay.
Otters, boar, wild boar.
Right.
And it sort of turned into a thing that was both practical, because you did a service to farmers and kept livestock safe, and you also got a little bit of sport in there as well.
Right. Like a lot of your
So-
nuisance species is what they were going after.
Yeah, and it is seen. Fox hunting has been seen as sort of like I wouldn't call it a gentleman's sport, but seen as a sport that only wealthy people could engage in. But that has not been the reality. It's been a sport of farmers, and there's a lot of what call farmers packs in Great Britain and Europe, and it might just be your local farmer that goes out once chasing after back hounds.
Right.
So, but here in the U.S., we don't really have that practical, part of it.
Right.
We do have some nuisance species. We do chase coyotes every once in a while. The fox is really not a nuisance species for us. I mean, we have livestock here on our farm, but it's really just for the pure sport of it at this point.
Right.
So that and we can talk about this a bit later, but there's probably more kinship to other hunting with dogs than people realize. There are some stark differences, but there are a lot of things that are very similar.
Right.
So that's kind of why we can talk a little bit more about the main component of it, which I feel is different, which is the horse part of it.
Right.
But I think it's just a practical thing.
Yeah.
But so we can get around. So that's sort of the why of mounted fox. We do other hunting, by the way. Fox hunting is not the only kind of hunting that we do.
Gotcha.
So love to shoot me a deer every once in a while, and do a little turkey hunting or whatever. So
it's hard to be a hunter and not want to get into those other ones too, not kind of expand into the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're outdoorsy all around. So that's what I feel is sort of the why, which wasn't a good answer as to why. It was more like it's fun.
Right.
So it's more of the why. I mean, there's not much practical benefit to it in this day and age. And then as far as why did we get in? I'll let Suji take that part of it. Why did we get into it? I think it was sort of an accident, but it was the best accident that ever happened to me. So take it from here, Suji.
So I guess the way that we had kind of started to get involved with it was Job and I, before we had actually met, had fox hunted previously, but of course not nearly to the extent that we do now, which is on quite a regular basis.
Right.
We kind of went out a little bit, just kind of.
We didn't own any hounds.
Yeah, we certainly didn't own any hounds.
Right.
But when we kind of, when we got together, we decided that, well, we both kind of like horses and we both like the outdoors. Why don't we try to find a sport that we both can enjoy together?
Right.
So then we started mounted fox hunting.
Okay.
And sort of with the turn of events, we ended up actually getting our own hounds. And I'm telling you right now, the things that we learned those first few weeks of having hounds, man, we learned so much. The first few days that we had them, we had to sleep in the kennels with them because they would howl all night. And Job is actually next to me laughing.
And the dog hounds would mark you. You'd be laying in there because they would only be quiet if you laid in the way. And they would come up and they would mark you, and you wake up and you're like, oh no.
So we tag teamed for those first few hounds that we had.
Ooh.
And then we just started collecting horses.
Why don't you back up though? Because I mean, we can get into this later, but people probably don't realize there are what you would call like hunt clubs or hunts.
Right.
And we rode with our local hunt. We hunted with our local hunt.
Right.
And it just so happens that our local hunt is pretty small.
Okay.
And that was good because we got to see things that we would have never had the opportunity to see.
Right. It makes a lot of sense. It's always good working in small groups like that.
I mean, we got a lot more opportunity, I think, to really see some great hound work, get some introduction into sort of like general kennel management and hound care. So we just kind of got our foot in the door in that way.
Figured out not to have to sleep with them.
Yes.
But you know what really happened was, I remember at some point we were sitting on horseback and we were watching the hounds work or something, and you said something like, you're never going to be happy until you have your own pack of hounds.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you're crazy. You're crazy. I mean, I'm my own pack of hounds. What?
Hey, sound like she knew what she was talking about.
Well, yeah, I think it was probably, I
think it kind of, the reason why I had said that was because there were certain ways that we wanted to, that we just had experience with management of the horses and management of the hounds that we know now, that we knew that we could do better.
Right.
And, what better way to actually do that than to get your own pack of hounds.
Right.
So,
and in that way, you can control it and do as your own, at your own, like, you're saying it, like, you have your own ways and ideas that you can put into play.
Well, that's not exactly how it happened. We sort of had a parting of the ways, and it was like we felt like someone had stolen our flag in our country.
Okay.
And we had a difference of opinions, and mountain fox hunting, one of the stark differences, and I think we'll probably talk about the differences and the things that aren't so different later on. But
right.
One of the stark differences is that you need a lot of land.
Yeah.
And there's very little public lands that can really be utilized. I mean, I do use public lands, but
right.
You need to know a lot of people, and then it's the one person in the middle that has the 5 acres that causes you problems.
Right.
But I mean, we just had we had a difference of opinions with how property owners were being handled,
right,
and permissions were being handled, knowing that we were going to be where we are today with this sport.
Right.
And this wasn't that long. This wasn't that long ago. It was just 8 or 9 years ago. Now you see, and we can talk about this later, but you see some of the positions that we're in with that type of attitude.
Right.
So we just didn't agree with it. So we went and did our own thing, and here we are.
Now.
Here we are with 60 some hounds in the kennel and 12 horses, and doing this crazy thing that most people think is pretty much impossible for some basically unindoctrinated farm kid from Pennsylvania who somehow figured it out, might actually be sort of good at it.
So I have questions. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of I'm gonna go ahead and insert some questions here, especially I'm taking notes as we go down. So when you said clubs, you said there's like less than maybe around 200 mounted fox hunting clubs. So how many people are in these clubs? Like what is a club? What exactly is a club when you say club for the mounted fox hunters, and how many people are normally in them?
Yeah, it can vary greatly. I mean, there can be a handful of people to hundreds of people.
Well, I mean, it's just like your hunting clubs and deer hunting. I mean, there's just every sort of makeup of club. Right. Some of them are just privately owned, and they're like us. There's the two of us are masters and another master, and we pay for everything. Okay. And we let whomever be involved that we like. Right. And if we don't like you, you don't get in. You don't get in. And then there's what they call subscription clubs. Okay. That have like a board, and you pay so much a year, and you're a member. And then there are some clubs that have other requirements, like you have to own. There's a club close by here that you have to own 50 acres of land in the territory that they hunt. Gotcha. To be a member of the club. Right. So I would say numbers wise, I think is what you're asking. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's some with 20 or 30, and there's some with a few hundred. Gotcha. Because I was just curious, because like I said, I mean, we're Central Virginia, and it's a whole nother world up there close to where y'all are at. So that's where my curiosity was. I was like, well, we have, my hunting club has 60 members, but you don't ever hear no mounted fox hunters. You don't ever see it. You don't ever hear nothing talking about it and stuff like that. And I was we're hiding behind the trees. They're there. You've got a bunch of them down in Central Virginia. I mean, they tend to be, and this kind of goes back to the fact that you mentioned that we met at Lobby Day. Mm-hmm. Really how we got involved with the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance was Suji pushed it. She said, there's these mounted fox hunters. They just stick their head in the sand. They kind of hide. Yeah. And they don't deal with the issues. And, there's this larger world of hunters out there that we need to get together with. And I mean, that was her thing. And honestly, I was like, lobby day. Oh man, I'm so busy. But she made me go. She made me go. But no, I mean, sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
No.
The mountain fox hunters are there in Virginia. It's just they tend to be a little less visible until a pack of 30 hounds runs through your front yard and a bunch of horses behind them.
Right. And I've never seen it, maybe it's just not, no, I don't know if there's any in our area or nothing like that, but I've never seen it. Like, I mean, I ain't getting on a horse now, but I'll get on a bike or something and ride behind y'all just to watch it and see what it's done.
Hey, an e-bike is a great alternative, let me tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to come with y'all one time, that's for sure, but I don't know about that whole horse thing. I seen that video of y'all riding the bikes. That's more my speed right there. So, how does it work? Kind of talk me through just, and maybe we're going to get to this later, but I didn't. One of the questions I wrote down, like, how does it work? Like, how do y'all? What's the whole plan of getting together and getting with the dogs and getting with everybody? And because you always see the video of mainly just them walking beside the horses or whatever you got, and you're working the calls. So kind of talk me through just so everybody kind of knows what's a normal hunt like for y'all. Of course we could probably talk for 3 hours on one hunt, but just an abbreviated version of kind of roughly how it goes.
Yeah,
so,
definitely preparation day. Is the preparation day before. Suji's the preparation person, so she can tell you.
I mean, we normally spend almost the entire day previous to a day of hunting actually getting ready for the day of hunting. But pretty much the bottom line, though, for hunting is that there's the alpha dog, and that's, sort of... it's the guy who wears the red jacket, and he's the huntsman. He's the one that actually, orchestrates the hunt.
Yeah, but I think James wants you to get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. I mean, these people are like, they don't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah. Like, as far as like the how do you get them there? Then how do you cast and the working them with the horses and stuff like that? How does all that work? And then when they do get to the fox, how do you get them to the fox? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So it does really start the day before. I mean, we have paid staff members and some volunteers.
Okay.
But getting horses ready the day before. Fox hunting in general, in my opinion, mounted fox hunting is done best early in the morning.
Right.
So it's an early morning sport, no matter what.
That's interesting.
We're hunting, in my opinion. I think that's when the best scent is. So we're getting pretty much everything ready the day before. I mean, staff are here getting horses ready, backing the truck and trailer up to the kennels. Making sure all your Garmin collars are charged.
Right.
I mean, there's a same thing that every other dog hunter is going to do. Plus, we have the added portion of making sure all the wacky, clothes we wear are ready and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
All that extra stuff. Making sure everybody's good in the kennel. Making sure you got your list of hounds you're taking the next day together. I mean, you got to prep everything, and that is definitely a bit of work.
That's a big order. How many dogs are y'all taking?
So normally I'm hunting between 20 and 26 hounds.
Okay.
I would say that I'm actually probably a little less than average. I mean, I think that larger clubs have probably taken 30, 35 hounds, depending. Okay. Now there's a reason that, and we can get into that with the breed. There's a reason I can hunt less hounds.
Right.
But we hunt anywhere from here at our kennels or at our farm to 15 minutes away to an hour and a half away.
Gotcha.
We're not really place based. We hunt in Maryland, a couple places. We hunt here in Virginia to balance, and it's just sort of anything between 5 minutes away and an hour and 5 minutes away. So depend on where it's at. We have we're staff hunting in August, which just means it's only staff.
Okay.
You got to leave early. We want to cast hounds at no later than 6:45 or 6:30, and if you're hunting an hour away,
right,
that means you got to leave at 5:30. That means that staff need to be here at 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And then, we have horses to prep. We got to get tack on horses, saddles, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, you could have a good hour and a half of prep time.
Yeah. Right.
To get everything ready to go. We have a couple different rigs that we use. We have a really large livestock trailer.
Right.
That hounds can go up in the all the way up in the front in the peak.
Okay.
There's actually like a gate up there.
Right.
Or there could be sometimes I'll put my female hounds up top, my male hounds down below.
Right.
All of our hounds are intact.
Okay.
So sometimes separating, or there might be a dog hound or a female hound that gets a little nippy, and you want to put them in a kennel box. There's all sort of considerations. Sometimes we might put hounds in a separate trailer, or we also have a truck with a dog box like everybody has, with a big old dog box on the back, a kennel topper. It just depends where we're going. There's a million and one different considerations.
Right.
And then it depends. Are we hunting in a park? Are we hunting public hunting lands? Is it private? Is it something, if it's private, I got to range it far in advance.
Yeah. Right.
Even if it's public hunting land, sometimes I have to range it far in advance. There's just, so much that goes into that. And depending, and I make my decision on where we're going to hunt dependent on so many different things. The weather.
Okay.
Is it too wet? Do I need to stay away from, planted fields? We want to damage things. Is it hot? Is it going to be hot out? I want to go somewhere that's got some cover. I don't want open fields because I'm going to no sense going to be available. That sort of thing.
Yeah. It makes sense.
So there's just so many considerations, and then as far as the actual hunting, so I'm the huntsman and I'm a master as well. So I hunt my own hounds.
Okay.
That is not typical for mounted fox hunting.
Right.
Typically most hunt clubs pay a professional huntsman.
Okay.
That it's his job to hunt the hounds.
So what? Okay, break that down. So what is the huntsman like? What exactly does the huntsman do? Like, what is his job? I know you kind of say work the hounds, but like, what do you mean by that? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a second real quick and interrupt the show and talk about Cajun Lights. They have jumped on board to support the Hounds Tales podcast and the field trialing community. You got nighttime field trials coming up. I know I do in my series, Pleasure Running at Night. When you need to catch that next crossing, put your trust in Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights is made in America product out of North Carolina, who has been in business for over 25 years. They make cap style and bucket hat headlamps to free up that extra hand for your voice recorder or for your GPS. There are three main lights I want to focus on real quick. The first is the Microgator, which is the lightweight option. It has 4 brightness levels and 4 color options, including red for us field trialers. Rated at 50 to 60 hours of battery life on the highest setting, this is your flood style lamp that'll do really good for us out in the fields in the short brush and be able to help us get in front of those crossings. Next up is the Cajun Bayou, which is the next step up, and it includes the same number of colors and brightness levels, but it packs a much bigger punch on that brightness level, so you can catch those crossings way down the path when you got a long road to cover. And last but not least is the top level Cajun Blinder. It has a main beam light with 4 levels of brightness and includes a walking light, and even with the light this bright, the burn life on it is rated at 5 to 6 hours on the highest setting. There's no chance of missing a dog with a light like this one, folks. All their lights come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime labor warranty, and these guys are excited to get into our sport, ladies and gentlemen. So y'all be sure if you see me at a hunt, come ask me about them. I'll have one of each of these lights on hand to show you and let you put it on your head and kind of experience it. Show these guys some love, guys. And y'all please go visit their website at CajunLights.com, and their phone number is 888-773-3080. Thank you, Cajun Lights, for all you do and for trying to get into this sport. Like I said, guys, let's show them some love. Let's get back to the show, guys. Here we go.
Professional huntsmen are usually, besides actually Yeah, well, I mean, we probably just need to back up.
Mm-hmm.
So in mounted fox hunting, we are in the U.S. Focusing on the chase.
Okay.
That is the seeing the hounds work, hearing the pack in full cry, seeing them chase a fox or a coyote or a bobcat or whatever your quarry might be,
Right.
is the part that we emphasize on. So we want to find our quarry and chase our quarry for basically the longest time possible to give followers, a good show, basically.
Right.
So a huntsman is going to cast his hounds in an area where he thinks the hounds might find a scent. Now, in my mind, there's two types of scent.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind,
right.
There's what I would call a hot fox, which is a fox that's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or a cold trail.
Okay.
And depending on the weather, a cold trail could be a half hour, 45 minutes. It could be in front of you.
Right.
And if on other days you can't even find a cold trail, you gotta jump a hot fox.
Right.
And then the huntsman's a professional huntsman. Probably usually his duties are to clean kennels,
okay,
scoop the boot,
right,
that sort of thing. Keep trails maintained, keep the what we call hunt country wherever you hunt in order. Talk to the landowners. Put jumps in, which is another thing we can get into.
Yeah.
So horses can get over fences. Since I'm not a what we call a professional huntsman. I mean, it's not my job.
Okay.
I'm just also a master. I just do whatever I want. So I'm not sort of in that same, I mean, we're pretty disciplined about going out 2 days a week.
Yeah.
But, the great thing about our situation is that we have nobody to please.
Right.
I mean, yeah, people want to go out. We do have people that go with us, but, it's really at our leisure, which is a pretty good position to be in.
Right. Absolutely.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, that covered it. Yes, yep, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, so kind of keep on rolling with on how this thing's working. With the cast and how that's working.
Yeah, so I mean, we typically when we find a fox, it's pretty amazing. We'll have some strike hounds. Everybody's got their strike hounds.
Okay.
Right. A hound that knows how to find a scent and will open up. When I say open up, he'll start. Yeah. He'll start making some noise.
Right, little trail bar.
And other hounds will join in, and eventually, you're hoping to get your whole pack in full cry.
Right.
That's the goal, and keep them going.
Right.
Now, if it's a fox, the fox is smart. Foxes are pretty intelligent, in my opinion,
right,
as compared to the hounds.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to sound crazy. You're going to think I'm a crazy man. I'm telling you, the foxes know.
Oh yeah.
And they will stay just far enough ahead to keep the pack coming. And then if they're getting tuckered out, we call it going to ground, but they just basically go in a hole.
Right.
So they'll just go in a hole. Yeah. That's a red fox. Now a gray fox will climb a tree sometimes.
Yep.
Which happened to me, and I'd never hunted a gray fox, and the hounds were marking at the bottom of the tree, and I came up on my horse and I said, "Well, you idiots, what are you doing here?" And they're marking. You fool, get away from here.
Right.
And then I figured out it was a gray fox, and they climbed the tree and come back down. And one area we hunt has actually probably more gray foxes than red foxes, and they confound me all the time because they'll climb up a tree and climb back down. But the fox generally
so smart
gets himself out of trouble.
Right.
Gets himself out of hounds don't generally overtake the fox.
Right.
But it's like any hunting dog. They need to get their quarry occasionally.
Yeah, that's right.
So
right.
And if your quarry is accounted for, it's usually a fox that needed to be cold.
Right.
So,
right.
That's sort of part of it.
So do y'all run into any issues as far as, because, foxes are primarily, a nocturnal animal. They're not 100% nocturnal, but for the most part, they do most of their activities at night. Does that ever cause really any issues with y'all with casting, in daylight or right at daybreak?
It's funny that you say that because we have quite a few foxes here where our kennels are, and we have what we call a kennel fox, affectionately.
Right.
And he's on the cameras all the time, or I'll come out at night and a motion light will go on, and there he is. And I'm telling you, he's taunting the hounds. I mean,
he's teasing.
No, I mean, the other day he was on what did he have in his mouth? A rabbit or something. Caught him on the camera. He was just right in front of our house.
Wow.
And the house is right next to the kennel. He's just, going along. So, yeah, they are primarily nocturnal animals.
Right.
That's when they hunt. But you'd be surprised when a pack of hounds come along. They flush them out. They come out.
Interesting.
They come out. Yeah, they come out. So, but I feel like your best chances are early as you can go in the morning. That makes sense.
Right.
To me.
Right.
There are other people that hunt 10 o'clock when it gets cold, 11 o'clock. I've heard about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, my entire day is shot, so I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I feel like, early, especially you have like this time of year, it's cold at night, so you get a frost.
Right. Right.
If I cast at 9 and the sun is shining and you get like 35, 36, or 40, that'll start burning that frost off.
Yep.
So you can find a line.
Yep.
And I mean, you're in full cry. You've got every hound on that. They're all the noses are down, all the tails are up, and they get out in the sunshine and nothing.
Right.
Right. Nothing.
Yeah. All the moisture's been lifted.
Yeah. And it's like this, magical thing where it just vaporizes. So
right.
And try to sort it out and see if you can find it again. But yeah. I mean, no. I mean, they're there.
Right.
And coyotes are nocturnal animals as well, really. But
they're just a little bit more stupid.
Well, I don't know. I try not to hunt coyote, and I got a little coyote story. I'm actually sitting here in my library, and there's a coyote that's stuffed up here.
No kidding.
That was hunted some years ago, but didn't get away.
Yeah,
but the coyote doesn't. The coyote does not go to ground. They just go.
Right.
And a pack will chase them down. The other difference that I've never really figured out why, but a fox will go in circles and stay mostly in his home area.
Yep.
Tight circles. The coyote will go straight away and just go straight.
Yeah. Or either when we run them, a lot of times they'll run a really big loop. A really big loop for us, and that for the coyotes. But yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream run, especially when you're kind of pleasure running on the outside. If you can get a hold of a gray fox, man, you get in a little 150 acre block, 200 acre block, man, they ain't going out of that.
I mean, I've hunted successfully in like 50 acre blocks, literally.
Right.
They never left it. But the thing I find with I actually hunted a coyote, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I don't know if we got started on the fox or started on the coyote. Just for reasons of the fact that the coyote tends to go further, we kind of shy away from it. But hounds went into full cry. They were in the cover. I couldn't see what they're doing. So I'm hollering, and we can get into all that, but I'm hollering and yelling and encouraging them and blowing the horn and doing everything that I do to keep them going.
Yeah.
And Suji was out on the road, and we probably should tell a little bit about how we control the hounds and what the other staff members do. But Suji is out on the road, and she's on the radio. It's a coyote. Tell her it's a coyote. Get up in front of me. And so I'm galloping up on the horse, and I said, "Nah, that's not what they're hunting." Just like wanting it to will it to not be the case. Right. Which should have worked because I'm a genius, but it didn't work. So here comes the pack, and they busted across the road and into another cornfield, and for sure they're on this coyote. So I'm screaming at the staff members, and I'm on the radio, and come on, get in there, stop them. And this coyote came out, I don't know how many times, 4 or 5 times, right in front of me, will come out of the cover and just look at me and just he never ran once.
Right.
He sort of just he was walking, but he was trotting.
Right.
And
controlling the pace.
The pack would come out behind him. He would go in a little cover, and then I'd go along, and finally I knocked him off of it. But
right.
It
sounds to me like you need to start listening to Suji a little bit more.
Yeah, she's right sometimes. Yeah.
So when they get into full cry and they get rolling on one, are y'all hanging tight with them? Like, are y'all trying to stay right there with them on the horses and stuff, or is this they're going off and getting away and you kind of get to the next road kind of thing, or how does that work?
Well, I mean, so yeah, this is the answer is going to be 97 parts long here.
Right.
I think the first thing is to just kind of explain that we have people that are normally part of a hunt that do specific duties.
Okay.
There's the huntsman who is obviously hunting the hounds, directing them, and I like to say a good huntsman is never hunting by himself, and a good pack is never hunting by themselves.
Right.
It's like the huntsman and the hounds are basically like one animal, really. It sounds wacky.
No, I'm with you.
Everybody has accused me of being part fox because I'll be like, no, I mean, you got to be there. You got to be there, because I'll be like, he's here.
Right.
And you'll and whoever, what are you talking about, you crazy fool? No, I'm telling you, the fox was here. Well, how do you know? I just know. And the next thing you know, hounds will go into full cry, But sorry, I digress. But
right.
There's specific things, and a rather important job of staff members, and the staff members are generally referred to this, is what we call whipping in. Now, don't get the wrong impression. We're not going around whipping hounds.
Right.
We do carry hunt whips.
Yeah.
But they're not to hit hounds.
Right.
With to control it. And the job of the whipper in is to go off and keep the pack together, keep stray hounds together. And if we are hunting, sort of everybody knows the drill, depending on where we're hunting.
Right.
Suji goes one way, David goes the other way, Kayla, I'm just naming staff members. Right. You go off this, one stays with me, and you sort of, one person goes east,
Gotcha.
One person goes west, and,
Right.
You sort of want to be to the extent that the hounds may go.
Right.
So if they need to be turned, or if they gotten on quarry that they shouldn't be,
right.
But you have to do all that without getting in the way, and most importantly, not pissing me off. So it could be pretty tough chore.
I was going to say, Suji, I feel like you might need a comment on that. Is that a difficult cast?
I just give him plenty of space, then I know I'm in the clear.
There's an unwritten rule in mounted fox hunting, which is whatever the huntsman says while you're hunting, do not take offense to it. Right. And it's like said under like the veil of like some, protection of some power.
Right.
You cannot be angry at him for what he says, and later on you just have to act like whatever expletives were uttered were not said to you, were not meant that way.
No, I get it. I get it 100%. That was one. Just on that note, I mean, I think that goes across a lot of it. Even in the field trialing world. Especially if you're working with people, eventually you're going to get to a point, especially if you're passionate about it, like most of us are. You're going to get to a point where something doesn't go 100% right, and maybe gets a little bit off kilter, and you kind of blow hot for a second. I've had to have that conversation with people. Like, look, if we're going together, if I say something a little that's a little tense or a little off kilter, maybe you needed to hear it, but I didn't mean anything harmful by it. So just kind of be ready. But no, I mean, I think that's great though. That if you go in with that understanding, I think that does make it work in the teamwork. I want to take a second and talk to y'all about Chestnut Mountain Feed Company in Concord, Virginia. They are my go-to feed supply store. And if y'all are in the area or are even close to the area, y'all be sure to check these guys out. It is where I solely get my dog food from, my leashes and collars and stuff like that. And they also have some farm supplies as well if you're into that kind of thing. So y'all be sure to check these guys out. And like I said, in Concord, Virginia, and let them know that you were sent there by the Hound's Tales podcast, and they have my seal of approval because they are the best feed store around, and they really, truly are a blessing to have. So, all right, guys, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, and then besides the people that are actively sort of engaged in the hunt and a sort of staff role, if there's people that are following, what we call them followers,
right?
There's going to be a field master who's a staff member that knows where they're going, knows where not to go, and then those people are following. Generally, we have what we call a car whip, and they're in the hound truck, and they're and they've got and we can talk a little bit about the technology. I carry an Alpha 200 on the horse, and then we've got a tractor in the truck as well. With we have the Tread XL, which is amazing. Is amazing.
I
remember the little 5.5 inch screen before. You're like, I can't see anything. Right. So it's amazing. I would say that the other component that maybe is different, like the field trial world or the pen world, but maybe dog deer hunters know a little bit about is we're not hunting in a controlled area,
right?
So hounds go where the quarry goes,
right?
Unless you stop them or they account for their quarry or whatever. There's a physical impasse for them going there,
right?
And it can get a little tense.
Yeah.
It can get a little tense. And, I hope nobody has our radio channel because, man, it's like a soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, they're going towards the rank, get out there, right away, sort of thing. And people are screaming and the horses, it's all in sort of like execution of the sport.
Right.
And it is amazing to see. It's just like, James, there's, I run a fairly large business besides we run the farm and we do the hunting. And I business can be really stressful.
Yeah.
But, I think really why I love the hunting so much is, I love the hounds. They're like my kids. I love the horse. I get along with the horses. I'm an outside guy. I grew up on a farm. This is all like that right down my alley.
Right.
But when I hunt the hounds twice a week, let me just tell you, not for 1 second while I'm hunting the hounds do I think about the business stuff or the stress of that week.
Yep.
It is amazing. It is the one thing. So, Suji, sorry, you may take offense to this, but it's the one thing. Like it doesn't even cross my mind. And I think you feel the same way, don't you? Yep. Yeah. It's like a little, just transported to this magical place.
Right.
No,
I'm with you 100% on that. It's something about being there with those hounds and going into full cry, and it's like it washes everything away.
Yeah, and we can kind of talk for days about how it works, but I'll tell you, with mounted fox hunting, like most of this stuff, people just got to come see it. Like we are the friendliest people. We are happy to, especially if it's other dog hunters,
right?
We are happy to share this with people. Like you said, it's like I don't even know mounted fox. Where are the mounted fox hunters?
Right.
They're around. They just kind of hide, and frankly, I think a lot of them are kind of fooling themselves. So they're sort of unwilling to share this with people,
right?
Which I think is a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake. Not only because people should be able to enjoy it, and I want to share it with people, but it's a huge mistake because of other things that we can certainly get into here.
Oh yeah,
shortly.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the challenges that we're all facing.
Right.
So
let's kind of move a little bit here and talk about the hounds and correct me on just tell me how to say that name of the hound so I don't get it wrong and sound even crazier than I do sometimes.
Yeah. So our foxhounds are the breed is called Penn-Marydel.
Okay.
And I'll explain this, and it'll all make sense in one sentence. Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware.
Okay.
That's where the Penn-Marydel comes from.
Okay.
So this particular breed of foxhound, it is related in a very roundabout way to the American foxhound and the English foxhound.
Okay.
Now, the reason I say that is because actually it's more closely related to the original hunting hounds, which are I don't know if you know anything about this, but that most foxhounds, their origin is in France.
Okay.
And this goes all the way back to Saint Hubert, who is the patron saint of hunters, you probably know.
Right.
And this goes back to the French breeds, which were like the Grand Bleu de Gascon or the Saint Hubert. And these are old French hunting breeds.
Okay.
That eventually the American and English foxhounds came out of, including like your Julys, your Walkers, all that.
Gotcha.
All came out of that.
Okay.
But we're more directly related back to sort of those original European hounds, which still exist in France. And you can go to France and see hounds that look just like the hounds that we have. And the funny thing about this breed is, along the way, they sort of had like some beagle bred into them. But not like beagle you think of beagle today.
Yeah.
More like the beagles you see in Ireland, which look like full-size foxhounds.
Long-legged beagles, tall beagles.
Yeah. Well, like the Scartines are one of the famous packs in Ireland.
Okay.
And it comes out in sort of odd ways. You'll see, like, you've seen the photos, like you'll see a black and tan hound, and you think, well, where did that come from?
Right.
And then you'll see a tricolored hound, and it came from the same parent. And it just sort of comes out in weird ways, and you'll get a hound that looks like just a very traditional foxhound, and then you'll have one that's like a brindle mix, and then you'll have some it because of the breeding, it just comes out in odd ways.
Right.
I would say that, the Penn-Marydel hound is a heavier hound.
Yes.
It tends to be, people think they're slow. They've been accused of being slow.
Right.
I don't think they're slow.
Right.
I think they're more deliberate in their hunting. But when they're on a hot fox, there's no difference between any of the other breeds.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at your pictures. That's what I've been doing, kind of as we're sitting here talking, and they definitely have a big stocky look. Like they're not like, I'm not saying that they're overweight or nothing like that, but I'm just saying like the bone structure is like a lot bigger and bulkier than a lot of the stuff that a lot of the fox hunters and stuff use.
Well, I have a few different lines that they're all from Pennsylvania, and I prefer the heavier ones, the stockier ones.
And what's the reason behind that? Is that a look thing, or is that an attribute that they bring to the table? What's the reasoning?
They have bigger voices, which, I said we get into this, but one of the reasons I hunt the Penn-Marydel hounds is I can hunt 20 or 22 or 25 hounds, and the voice, I'm telling you, the voice of one Penn-Marydel hound is the voice of 3 American foxhounds or English foxhounds.
Right.
And, literally the pack has come out in full cry, and I've had people say, where's the rest of them? I said, what do you mean? That's all of them. Like, there's no way that all that voice came from. No. So part of it is the voice. Also just, some of these lines that I have just seem to have certain congenital issues, do well with certain things.
Right.
Tend to not respond well to like Ehrlichia or problems like that. And I just found, like, from a health perspective, that the stockier hounds last longer, and they're not slower. They're not slower. Right. Because you think, oh, they're heavier, they're slower. Which, by the way, this is not our first breed, by the way.
Right.
We had like Walker Julys before this, and they were great. They were amazing. Right. But I couldn't keep up with them. There's no way. It was like either was going to have a helicopter or like, I don't know what.
I was going to say, man, I'm not a fan of Julys, but man, them suckers can fly, man.
Well, they were so good. I was so reluctant, but I had some friends that said, hey, you need to really think about hunting these Penn-Marydel hounds. And I was sort of like, yeah, but I got this pack and they're hunting really well. Just like I had a little trouble keeping up with them. So, long story short, I was able to move them along to a guy in North Carolina that wanted the whole pack and wanted to truck hunt, and he was happy to. Perfect. It was a ready-made pack, and we moved on to the Penn-Marydel hounds, and we've been hunting the breed ever since, and we've never looked back. So,
Suji, is that kind of your same opinion? You like the big stockier dog too, or is that do you like the other ones better?
Yeah, I agree with Job. Everything that he said. I think probably one of the things that I have sort of enjoyed too the past, just since we've had the hounds, is that we've been able to breed several litters.
Right.
So it's really interesting just to be able to choose mom and dad and see those attributes that actually pass on to the puppies, and then seeing those puppies. We've had a few puppy, litters now that are a few years old, and seeing those attributes come out, seeing like the good qualities from mom, from dad, and that's just been super interesting to see. What's the gestation period of a hound again?
63 days.
63 days, and it's quite short. I didn't realize it was so short when we had first started, just like breeding the hounds and everything. But, that's it's very quick. And, even as puppies, though, even if they're just a few months old, you can kind of see some of those attributes come out where they're playing in the yard and they're yipping, or they're not yipping, they're actually howling, and you can kind of see like their mannerisms with their playmates or litter mates, and so that's been pretty interesting to see.
That's a beautiful thing too. It really is. I love watching that.
Fuel your dog with power. Fuel them with strength. Fuel them with Joy Supermeal 30/20. Joy Supermeal is made for the hardest working dogs, with a colossal 510 kcals per cup, magnesium for muscle repair, and pumpkin for digestive health. This formula is made specifically for gaining muscle mass and added endurance. Our Supermeal 30/20 is also great for breeders and offers mothers extra calcium and magnesium to assist with whelping. For dogs that work just as hard as you do, make sure to fuel them with the best. Fuel them with Joy Supermeal 30/20. To learn more about Joy Supermeal 30/20 or to find a dealer near you, visit joydogfood.com or give us a call at 800-245-4125.
Every time I think I have the secret sauce right, I surprise myself, and I said I like the bigger hounds, but then it's funny, the black and tans, even though they're the same breed, they tend to be quicker for some reason. And I thought maybe I was going
to edit that out because I don't like a black and tan, so I'm gonna have to edit that one.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
And James, to be honest with you, all of my sort of hound buddies said, you don't want those black and tans. They're the same breed, but they tend to be more high pitched yip yip,
right?
Versus that really deep voice that we have with the big Penn-Marydel hounds.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when I first started this, I took whatever I could get, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah,
so I took I was like a hound collection service. I mean, no. I mean, I took whatever. I mean, I took like hounds that were basically 90% dead because, it's like I felt like someone's giving me 5 hounds that are going to hunt, and they have an old retired hound and are making me take it. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So I was like the foxhound. I was like the foxhound retirement program for a while. They're like, and people would give me. I mean, I get a little sidetracked, but people were giving me dogs that no one wanted.
Right.
Hard to handle, didn't want to be touched.
Yep.
Maybe they were smacked a little too much.
Right.
Ones that like to stay out and not come back.
Right.
I got all of those, and I'll tell you though, I had to work, and I have one hound in the kennel I've been working on for 3-4 years.
Right.
I can finally pet him.
Wow.
I can finally pet him.
Wow.
But he's one of my best hounds. And it's those hard cases. I'm telling you, it's the hard cases that turn out to be
the
best.
Gosh, man. Me and my buddy were just having that conversation. I got one right now that likes to climb. He likes to crap in the dog box. I mean, anything that you can name that makes him annoying, he does it. But that sucker will scald at the piece of game. I mean, absolutely scald a piece of game. I'm like, how do you get rid of him just because he's ill-mannered? You can try to work it out of him, but you can't get rid of him just because he's ill-mannered. Like, if he's that daggone good, man, you can't lose him for nothing like that. But, that's something, and it's pretty cool, though, that you're able to take these dogs that, kind of are the I don't know how to say this, dogs that not many people are going to want. And you're able to give them a home and and train them and make their, get their purpose and stuff like that. I've had a dream for a while now that I would love to start a hound dog rescue and just have one big fenced-in area where these dogs can come and just live their best life, and then maybe do some rehabilitation and maybe do some game work with them, and maybe get them back to somewhere and get them into a situation where somebody will and be able to use them for what their purpose is. And I think that's sounds like kind of on a less scale, of course, but that sounds like kind of what y'all do with those.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I really would like a hound hoarder, so I would never. People have asked me for hounds, and I think we've sort of publicized this breed a little bit in the last couple of years. And
right.
I get people ask me all the time, "Will you sell a hound? Will you sell a puppy?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, "Sorry, absolutely, I do not sell any. I don't." And finally, I had 3 young bitch hounds, which, by the way, we've been just kind of using generic terms. But
no.
In the fox hunting world, they're not dogs, they're hounds.
Right.
And a male is a dog hound and a female is a bitch hound.
That's right.
Every other dog, whether it be a house dog or even another hunting dog that is not a foxhound, is a cur dog to us. But
I gotcha.
It's just the terminology. But we finally, I had someone ask me in a neighboring hunt, would you consider? Then they don't breed.
Right.
They actually fix their hounds. All my hounds are intact. I do not believe in fixing hounds at all.
Right.
They don't breed. And they said, hey, if you ever have anything, I had this 3 younger bitch hounds, and they were just going to be too slow for us. I mean, they were fine. I've had them since they were puppies.
Right.
I really reluctantly let these 3 hounds go, and had nightmares for the first. They're fine. I just I wish they didn't fix them, but I think it's going to be a good home for them.
Right.
They go a little slow. They go a little slower than we go.
Right.
It's more like a trail ride, and it's more like a Wild Wild West show with me. So we moved them along, but it's funny, we have several older hounds that, we've probably got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 7 or 8 hounds right now that are on the cusp of retirement.
Right.
And they've been going out a little less. You know how it is. A hound dog will break down quick.
Right.
They'll break down quick.
Yeah.
They'll break down quick. And I really don't want them for them.
Right.
For them. So I was kind of, putting them on the back burner. If we went to a small fixture, I'd let them hunt.
Right.
But I wouldn't go at it too hard.
Mm.
And one day I was saying to some of the staff members, I think this is the last hunt for these guys.
Right.
And the staff members, you can't say that.
Right.
They're going to hear you. And I said, well, kind of thing. Anyway, we had an opportunity to go out a couple weeks later, and I threw all those old dog hounds in there and some of the old bitch hounds. And I'll be God darn, they didn't just get on a fox right away in full cry, and they were out front. And all the girls were saying to me, see, they told you. They knew. You're talking, saying this stuff that they're going to need to retire, and but the reality is they, eventually are going to have to retire.
Right.
But I have no inclination. A lot of people will try to move their older hounds on to as house dogs or whatever.
Right.
My opinion of it is that these guys have lived in the kennel their whole life. They're 9 years old, going on 10.
Yeah.
They slept with their brothers for their entire life. They lived their kennel life. They love that life.
Right.
I'm not saying they wouldn't be able to live in a house, but
they love it out there.
They love it, and they get walked out every day. They can do some small stuff. We just don't believe in moving them on as a house dog, because I truly don't think that they're happy.
No, I love
and
that.
Also, I think they're happiest with me because I think I'm the greatest guy in the world. So they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I can't comment on the last part, but the rest of it, and I've always said, I got one, in my lots right now. He was my first deer dog, part of my first deer dog pack that I raised by myself, and I've been telling the wife, I said, when his time comes, and I know his time's coming, I'm going to take him and I'm going to find him a nice hot track, and I'm going to put him out there and put him on it one last time, and I'm going to have it set up. Once he gets done running, then I'm going to go, take him to the vet and put him down. But I want him, the last thing he does is to go out there and do what he loves to do the most, more than anything, is go out there and chase a piece of game. And and I just feel like that's the way they should go out. Like, if they've given you everything, and I think, like you said, I mean, it's great, and there's nothing wrong with, making them house pets or whatever, and running the rest of their life out that way. But I really respect that, and the way that y'all are going to do that and finish their life out.
Yeah, well, I think that was a beautiful thing you described. I think that's the right way to handle it. But yeah, I mean, so anyway, we got a little sidetracked. The Penn-Marydel hound, they're great. They're great, and I feel like the breed. I don't know other breeds as well, because this is the bulk of my time has been spent with this breed. But I feel like maybe it's a little bit more difficult to win their affection. But once you do, I mean, you have a friend for life.
Right.
Then they would just do anything for you.
Right. Now,
and I have.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I feel like the English and the American foxhounds are a little bit more aloof. They're just sort of don't really need you, and this breed needs you as much as you need them. That's my feeling. Anyway.
I like that. So are these dogs a registrable type dog, or is that something? Is that the way y'all keep track of genealogy? Is that just a handwritten kind of thing, and you just know who's who kind of deal?
I mean, yeah, you can register these dogs with a hunter's horn or whatever you want. I mean, there's actually a Penn-Marydel stud book.
Okay, gotcha.
We don't really waste our time with it.
Right.
I mean, we have papers. I'm just sort of like, we don't show. So in the fox hunting world, you have to have a registered hound to show and all this kind of stuff. I breed for voice and hunting. I don't breed for show.
Right.
So, there's no real utility for us.
Gotcha.
I mean, I want to, remember and know where that particular hound came from, because if there's some sort of congenital condition which develops that I want to steer away from, then I want to kind of know where they came from. But that's not really our thing. But yeah, you can absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of foxhound shows across the country and trials. There's a lot of field trials with mounted fox hunting.
Right.
But that's not really our thing.
Gotcha.
Our thing is just hunting and hunting hard.
Love it. I love it. So, you said you had 60? Is that right? Right about 60 hounds?
Yeah, we that's sort of our sweet spot.
Gotcha.
Especially because you've got right now. I'm probably not telling you anything that you don't know or anybody else that doesn't know that's going to listen to this. But it's springtime, and it's like a dorm room in my bitch kennel.
Right.
And like half my pack came in the season, and we have what's called a hot box. So it's separate, but they can see the other bitch hounds, but they have a yard which is separate.
Right.
And then the male, the dog hounds are two pens away.
Right.
And so they stay slightly sane.
Right.
So this happens. I mean, how many hounds do we have in there right now?
10.
Yes, we have 10 hounds in the hot box right now.
It'll trigger too, man. A lot of people,
Oh yeah.
A lot of hounds would know it, but some people don't realize that, man. When one comes in, you better just get ready. The rest of them are coming right along with her.
Well, I went down the kennel just before we got on here, and I just kind of peek into the hot box because I know if I go in there, it's like, love me.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So we are hunting twice a week.
Right.
We have sort of a core group of hounds that tend to kind of go out pretty regularly.
Okay.
But hunting twice a week, if you're really hunting, is in my opinion too much on a hound.
Okay.
So if I got 20, 25 that are going out, you kind of need like 50 or so, and then you have those in season, those retiring. So 60 is kind of the minimum for what we do.